Buckle up, Buttercup. We are making the best buns you'll ever have in your entire life. Starting off with a warm cup of water. That's right, warm, not hot. Add about 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast to that. That's how much is in a packet of active dry yeast. 3 tablespoons of sugar. Any sugar you want, including honey. Give that a mix and then let it sit for about 10 minutes so that the yeast can bloom. It will eventually look like this. That's how you know you're ready to go. Add 3 tablespoons of butter. Melted or softened or half and half like I like to do is fine. 1 egg. And about 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. I used a little less because I used salted butter. Then you're going to need about 3 cups of flour. Any flour will work. Here I am using white bread flour. I like to add about half of it, then mix it up. Then I like to add the remaining flour slowly so that I do not add too much. Having a stand mixer is so helpful during this process, but you can do this by hand. You are just going to get an insane arm workout, which is not necessarily a bad thing. At this point, I had enough flour, but the bottom of the dough was just sticking to the bowl, so I was just throwing it a tiny bit more to get it to unstick a little bit. Anyways, you let this knead for about 5 to 10 minutes until it passes the window pane test. This is the window pane test. It should be able to stretch pretty thinly without breaking. If your dough cannot do this, it needs to be kneaded more. Throw it back in that bowl and let it go for a few more minutes, or put your arms to work again. Once the dough's ready, I like to shape it up and then I like to throw it into a bowl with some oil. Make sure the entire dough ball is covered so that it doesn't dry out at all, and then cover it and let it rise for about an hour. I say about an hour because it could be longer, it could be shorter depending on the temperature of your house. This is why you need to learn how to read your bread dough. This was about an hour later for me. It was perfect. I flopped that baby out on the counter and then I chopped her up into 8 equal-ish parts. You could weigh these if you really wanted to. I don't have time for that, so they're close enough for me. And then you want to shape these into their own little dough balls. I just like to pinch the sides in together and then push and pull them on the counter to form a tight seal on the bottom. This works best on a dry counter, and because our dough has some of that oil on it, you might need to move to a different spot of your counter so you can do this better. Once you have the buns shaped, you just stick them on some parchment paper on a baking sheet, and then I like to press them down, and then they're going to proof for about 30 to 45 minutes. After that time has passed, you need to get an egg ready so you can egg wash the top of your buns. It is at this point that you can add any type of toppings that you want to your buns, like sesame seeds. I have been meaning to purchase sesame seeds for these buns, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet, so hopefully soon. I know I didn't tell you this, but you should have preheated your oven to 375 by now. Sorry! But yeah, you're going to bake these at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 to 20 minutes. When you pull these buns out of the oven, you will experience the definition of perfection. Like, save, and follow for more.